Overpromised is presented by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code Overpromised, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Let's do this. Another Overpromised, our bonus video pod here with Fox Sports Radio. Rich Davis, Steve Covino, welcome. Good to see you.
Well, we needed this extra time because we can't fit all this fun into 2 hours on Fox Sports Radio. Again, welcome to Overpromised, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. It's almost that time of the year.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Turkey time, baby.
Love
Next week.
to eat turkey. Now, we got lots to get to. Every year in sports, there's a feel-good story.
Oh, yeah.
And we got the one. Plus,
oh, yeah.
Rich's picks.
Oh, yeah. I got a teaser bet for Thursday Night Football. It's a lock and an NBA pick for tonight, so hang tight.
Can't wait. I saw a meme today, and
that's where you get all your news, by the way.
I get all my news,
meme reader.
All my jokes, from memes. So I saw a meme. I think it was courtesy of Sports Illustrated about Sauce Gardner. He's got the sauce. And he said that he had his first New York pizza, his first pizza by the slice.
What?
And it was fire. So I went through this roller coaster of emotions because, again, we're from the East Coast. We're so East Coast. We built our careers in New York City, out here in L.A. right now. But I'm a Jersey kid. We take a lot of pride on the East Coast of our pizza. A lot of pride in the pizza. So first thought was like, he's playing for the Jets. This is his first New York slice?
My first thought was, yo, Sauce Gardner. No shit. New York pizza's good. It's fire. Come on. Your name is Sauce.
I was just to say, name is Sauce.
Hey, marinara.
What was the holdup? But then, it sunk in, and I was like, well, I'm glad to hear. I know, right? I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
What is he going to say next? I learned that you fold it, too.
You got to fold the slice. Look, there's an art form, especially in New York, right? It used to be dollar slice. Is it still dollar slice?
Well, the cheap ones, yeah, you can still get a dollar.
Still pizza by the slice on your way home from work, after a late night partying. You mean to tell me this guy has been partying in New York City and hasn't gone out for a late night slice yet? Or maybe he's getting a different kind.
So, yeah, he got a slice of cheeks. he's got other slice. I think Sauce Gardner is getting some late night slices.
So, after I was like, really? His first? It sunk in that he said it was fire. And I'm like, well, I'm glad to see that it lived up to the reputation, because a lot of times when things are overhyped, sometimes they underproduce, right? So,
I almost divorced my wife before we even got engaged.
Yeah.
Because she's from Texas. And the first time my wife came to New York, I'm like, you got to have New York pizza. It's fire. And she goes, oh, it's sort of like Sbarro's at the mall.
Oh,
and I was like, whoa.
You out of your mind?
I got to decide if this is going to work out.
Sbarro's at the mall is, one step above Domino's, maybe. Look, there's great junk food pizza. We don't want to be pizza snobs. There is great junk food pizza. Yeah. I love Domino's. But there's nothing better than a real, authentic East Coast, New York City slice of pizza. So, like I said, it lives up to the expectation. They talk about the water, right, Spot? There's something in the water.
The water.
Something in the dough that makes it New York pizza. I got to give props to New Jersey pizza, too. It's all the same, in my opinion, but the New York slice. So, Sauce Gardner, welcome to New York. Welcome to New Jersey. Welcome to the East Coast. It's official now. You have to have that.
You got to get John's Pizza on Bleecker. On Long Island, my favorite is King Umberto's. Everyone's got their favorite spot.
Again, I'm from Union, New Jersey. My family still lives there, right? And you would think you were watching Sopranos or something, because all the pizza places that my dad goes to have this mafioso sort of name to them. And his favorite right now, my dad goes through phases, right? He's like, yeah, you got, next time you're home, you got to go to Johnny Napkins.
Johnny Napkins.
I'm like, is that a guy you know? Is that one of your guy?
One of his Goomba friends.
Yeah, he's like, no, Johnny Napkins, the pizza place in town. But again, it's a part of the culture. Yeah. It's very much a part of how we grew up. So, hey, Sauce Gardner, It's about time.
Yeah, it's about time to have that Johnny Napkins pizza.
Hey,
That's Johnny Napkins, by the way?
I didn't know the little boy logo, but I guess
Johnny
so.
Napkins wears an apron or suspenders over there.
Like he's a dang. Anyway, Sauce Gardner, I'm glad to hear it lived up to the hype. And there's so many great places out there to enjoy. Get the famous Rays. Get the Johns on, what street is that?
Bleecker, I said.
Yeah. No. The one in Midtown. On
6th Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get that. Well, I'm sorry, 7 Times Square.
45th, I believe.
Yeah, there's so many places. There's too many places.
There's so much good pizza. I'm thinking about doing this thing, guys. I don't know if it'll work. I'm thinking about doing this thing where I take one bite. And I'm like, everybody knows the rules.
No, you know what? That'll never work, bro.
No, that'll never work.
That's stupid.
But honestly, you maybe if you try 2 bites.
2 bites?
Hey, you know what? Maybe go for it.
Yeah, 2 bites.
And review it?
Yeah, not a bad idea.
No one can get a feel for a pizza in 1 bite. You need 2 bites.
But, Covino brings up a good point. New York pizza does live up to the hype. But, we've traveled around the country, been to different stadiums and arenas for sports. And, you travel enough. You go to a city, you got to try what they are known for. And you got to think, what has lived up to the hype in your mind?
Again, that's the key. What has lived up to the hype? And I'm about to say something that some people may consider sacrilegious, but we're out here in Los Angeles, and there's no more hype than In-N-Out Burger. I mean, you can go right in any time of the day. There's a line like it's the Field of Dreams. Like, what is this line here? Why are all these cars lined up? It's for In-N-Out Burger. And when my daughter or my girlfriend are like, can we get In-N-Out? I'm like, no, because I know it's going to be so packed, right? But you come out here, everybody wants to go, and I'm not going to discredit the freshness of the burger.
And the price is cheap.
But does it really live up to the hype? Is it the greatest? Not for me. I'm sorry. Not for me.
But you know what that would be like? That would be like Justin Herbert saying, hey, I just tried In-N-Out. You've been here a couple years.
You gotta have it. But which are the ones that live up to the hype?
I'll give you
could
one.
add at Covino and Rich. What comes to mind?
I'll give you one. We were in Kansas City for the baseball all-star game.
Yep.
We had burn-ends. They have Jack Stacks and Oklahoma Joe's. The Kansas City barbecue lived up to the hype like no other cuisine.
There's 2 important parts to the story. Number 1, we got there and we were greeted by George Brett. True story. Came right up to us and he's like, hey, George Brett, have some burn ends. And we're like, well, I didn't even know what that meant.
Sometimes I think that's a dream, but it's a true story.
It happened.
We were in a VIP area.
Yeah.
In the Royals, I guess you would say the suite section.
Yeah.
And George Brett, I guess his job for All-Star Weekend was to greet people because he was walking around with burn ends.
Part of the welcoming committee. Yeah, he is Kansas City, right? You associate him with that. Have some burn ends. We're like, don't mind if we do. Later that night, we went to some local famous place like Jack Stacks or whatever, right? And it was one of the first times I think I actually got a food high. Like you hear of food comas and things like I felt like I was floating down the streets as we walked home because I hit like a euphoric state of barbecue. I started floating. You know how kids are doing slick backs and they're floating around?
Yeah, you were floating around.
I was floating around. Like, I think I'm having a food high right now. It was insane. Insanely good.
Every time we hit the Midwest and go to Chi-Town, it's not New York pizza, but you do have that deep dish. We've had the deep dish. I know Lou Malnati's is one of the places we've been to. There's other places, but
it lives up to it.
It's not, in my mind, it's so different than a New York pizza that I don't even put them in the same categories. That's sort of like Spot, what would you call it?
I call it a pizza casserole.
Yeah, it's sort of like a casserole.
It's so good. And by the way, Lou Malnati's, you can actually order that. You don't have to go to Chicago. You could order it and they send it frozen and it still hits.
More than 1 or 2 slices of deep dish, you feel like a piece of shit. Like you are like, what am I?
Now keep in mind, we just talked about how pompous we were about our East Coast pizza. We got to give credit where it's due. Yeah. Chicago's dope. I know Detroit's known for it. We failed. We didn't get it last time we were there, but Chicago hits. We could tell you that much.
So when you go to Philly, you got to run up the rocky stairs.
Absolutely.
You got to see the Liberty Bell.
Absolutely.
And you got to get a cheesesteak.
Hey, when
Whiz wit. You know that you have to say that, right?
Of course.
If you don't know that, then you're a bonehead. Whiz wit means that cheese whiz.
Cheese whiz.
Now, Spot.
With onions, though. Wit is with onions.
I remember one time Spot and I don't know if he remembers this.
I do.
Spot and I, with our wives, girlfriends at the time, went on a little weekend trip to Atlantic City. And on the way back, we're like, let's cut through Philly. and we sampled a few different cheesesteak places. I don't even know if I have a favorite, but people say Pat's and Geno's and John's. There's a few famous ones, but
you realize though that you don't cut through Philly. You actually have to drive across the entire state to go to Philly. So
I wanted
we
a
actually
cheesesteak.
went out of the way. We drove across the width of New Jersey
Just
from
to get
Atlantic City to Philly just to try these cheesesteaks.
And all the Philly steaks you could eat. Boys
There
to
it
men
is.
style.
I mean,
it really does
they
live
had
up.
me-
It's an
they had
experience
me
too. It's part of the
since-
culture. It's the vibe. Like, you got to go there and get yourself a cheesesteak.
since that lyric in 92,
Yeah.
I've been craving some Philly cheesesteaks. Now, something I have only had one time.
Back in school, I used to dream about that every day.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I know you've never had this, and I'm not throwing you under the bus, but I went to school upstate New York, Syracuse, which is a good hour and a half from Buffalo, but I've had buffalo wings in Buffalo, and for real, chef's kiss, as they say. There's something a little special about it. You get buffalo wings
what's
in
the big
Buffalo.
one?
That's where they originated.
Is it the Anchor Bar is the big one?
Anchor Bar is one of them.
Yeah, the originator.
You know, I had family upstate New York. I'm not sure I ever had buffalo wings from Buffalo, though. So are they next level dope?
That would be like Josh Allen right now saying, hey, I just tried it.
No, it's true. It's true.
That's why the Sauce Gardner thing sort of hit home. The dude's been in New York 2 years, and he just had a slice.
And this isn't making our list or anything like that, but I have to throw it out there. I'm a Jersey kid. You gotta have a Taylor ham sandwich. You gotta order sandwich, salt, pepper, ketchup. Taylor ham and eggs. People get the eggs and cheese too. That's fine.
Yeah.
Some people call it pork roll. Gotta get a Taylor ham sandwich. Honorable mention.
It's on that specific roll too, on a Kaiser roll.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I even have a baseball card. Look at this. Famous rivals. Taylor ham versus pork roll. It's the same thing. We just call it different things.
I don't know how it's not all over the country. I'm a New York kid. You go across the Hudson River to New Jersey, and it's like, why have you guys been hoarding the Taylor ham?
Well, those are the must-haves that lived up to the hype. And Sauce Gardner, thanks for the fun.
Shout out to Sauce and all the Jets fans that are just hanging to the hope of Aaron Rodgers coming back. Go have a slice. Enjoy
a slice.
So let's get into our picks of the week. I
go.
want to start with a teaser bet. Now, I love this teaser bet because division rivalries never... when you got two good teams in a division rivalry, so many times these are close games, especially on a Thursday night, right? Thursday night, these games are relatively close. And you got a really good one this week. You got the Bengals and the Ravens. So Raven. Both teams fighting in the toughest division in the National Football League. That AFC North is the balls. That division, I think all four teams could make the postseason. But right now, the Bengals...
The balls. Is that new, like, slang?
Yeah, they got the balls. Yeah, no cap. Got the Riz.
Damn, Rich is hitting people with the Riz.
I'm hitting people with teenage lingo. The Bengals lost a heartbreaker to the Texans last week. Just when you thought the Bengals were going to go on like a 5-game clip, they got caught up by C.J. Stroud. But that game was good. The Bengals will not be blown out, which is why I think they might even win the game. But they're underdogs to the Ravens. And I'm doing a 6.5-point teaser. And I'm taking the Bengals to 10.5. I love this bet. The Bengals plus 10.5 over 39.5. So the Bengals just got to keep it within single digits against the Ravens. I think the Bengals could win the game. So I love the Bengals plus 10.5 over 39.5. I think Burrow and Lamar Jackson both put up some points. So if that game's 27-21, 27-24, you're a winner either way. So close game. Over 39.5.
All right.
Lock that in. I love it. I think that's a good one. And tonight, I know it's last minute if you're watching Overpromised live on a Wednesday. Lakers coming off a pretty nice win last night. They stay home at Staples Center. I'll still call it Staples Center. They're favored by 1, and I like it. 1 over Sacramento. So let's lock that
Why
in.
do you still call it Staples Center? You don't want to talk about crypto? Or?
Actually, no. My Bitcoin's looking pretty good right now.
You haven't talked about crypto in about a year.
It's almost 40 grand again. Maybe I should talk about it.
Maybe you should.
But yeah, tonight let's keep rolling with the Lakers. I feel like they got something rolling. They got something going on. So Lakers -1 straight bet. Sacramento's a good team, but when the point spread's low, why not roll with the Lakers home game? So Lakers -1. Lock that in with DraftKings, and also the Bengals, Joe Burrow and crew keeping it close, plus 10.5 over 39.5. Lock and load your teaser and your NBA straight bet.
Can you believe we're this deep into the NFL season? We got to make every second count. With DraftKings Sportsbook, you can make the most out of every game day. Bet on your favorite teams for a shot at winning big bucks. New customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting $5 on any matchup.
Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the app now. Use code OVERPROMISED. New customers could score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on the NFL, only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code OVERPROMISED. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In West Virginia, visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
Overpromised at DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm just pumped about my parlay, my teaser, my straight bet. Honestly,
I mean, you're always pumped. This guy, he's hyped up all the time.
It's such a big part of the fun, especially with the NFL. So honestly, we got a good one Thursday night. DraftKings Sportsbook, Overpromised, Bengals, Ravens. How could you deny that battle?
Well, welcome back to Overpromised, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, Covino and Rich, Fox Sports Radio, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. on the West. That's 5 p.m. on the East. And again, this is our bonus podcast. If you're watching on Fox Sports Radio's YouTube page, thank you. You can also listen wherever you stream your podcast, so hit the follow. And if you're listening, definitely watch. And we do this again on Friday to get the weekend going, all right? So join us. Now, every year, there seems to be a feel-good story, and we need that sometimes. There's a lot of crappy news.
You know, that's why, I'll put $1 in the jar. That's why I don't hate the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce stuff, because, well, all your friends and family.
Why don't you put $1 in that stupid hat you're wearing?
Buy me a goose, the biggest goose in all of London.
Yeah.
I got my pilgrim hat on.
Yeah.
But I don't settle. I like the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce stuff as much as people say, oh, I'm sick of that shit. What do you rather talk about? Honestly, like whatever's going on in the news is always sort of depressing, whether it's Ukraine or Israel. I want to talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. It's light, it's nice, but there's someone that's taken over.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because Taylor Swift was the NFL banner on social media.
Taylor's version.
Yeah, Taylor's version. Her picture was all over the place, and she's been replaced by the new feel-good story of the year in sports. His name is Josh Dobbs.
There he is.
Check him out. The Pastronaut. He's got a cool nickname. NASA's tweeting at him. Aerospace engineer. He's got the smarts. He's got no eyebrows, but he's got the smarts, and he's getting the love from the NFL.
In fact, fans are shaving their eyebrows in support.
Yes, true story.
In fact,
support and solidarity. They're like, yes, because no one knew where that season was going to go. Where was the team going to end up? And now they're playing well.
I'll tell you what, if you're so involved in the story and you're loving Dobbs so much, and Covino and I will be at the Broncos-Vikings game this week.
We're going to be there.
Spot, I know you put this together. I think you should roll with the Dobbs look. What do you think?
Yeah, I shaved them earlier. They grew back already.
Get rid of those brows, bro.
Well, the backstory here is he had alopecia, still has alopecia, but he's had it since he was a little kid, since he was like 10 years old or something like that. So he doesn't have eyebrows. So fans have decided to shave their eyebrows. They're pumped about it, show their love. They're pumped about their new quarterback. He's a good dude. He's a smart dude. Again, the story was he's in the huddle calling plays to teammates he's never met before, didn't even know their names, right? New to the team.
Did you see him on the sideline doing hard counts?
Yes.
Like just lining up with his center because he's like, yo, we've never worked together. We've never delivered a snap. And by the way, just for the fun of it, look at Josh Dobbs, where he's been over the last 5 years. Can you give me a second here?
Sure.
Steelers, Jags, back to the Steelers, Browns, Lions, Titans, back to the Browns, Cardinals, Vikings. This is all since 2017. The guy's been all around the world, and
And and you've been player hating. Actually, we're embracing them. The banner, the NFL banner is "In Dobbs We Trust." So it's the feel-good story for sure. How could you root against this dude?
Yeah.
Even if the Vikings aren't your team. Like, that's kind of cool, man. He found a spot, a place where it seems to work. Now, so far.
I guess a lot of times these things run out, but it made us think of some of the great feel-good stories in recent history. And there it is. Dobbs is even on the NFL's social media homepages. In Dobbs We Trust.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, when there's so much nonsense going on in the world,
these are the things you want to think about.
These are the things that are fun to rally around. Yo, man, that's kind of cool, right? Hey, good for him.
Well, you talked earlier on Overpromised about your love of that New York City slice of pizza because we're from the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
We can't not start with the most obvious one, my love of pizza. No, the most obvious one is you and I really feeling something in New York City called Linsanity. There was nothing like a city rallying around who? Wait, who's this guy? He's living on his friend's couch? Jeremy Lin?
You know why? Because people love the underdog story.
Yeah.
Again, you talked about how Dobbs bounced around. That's what makes it a feel-good story and relatable and shocking, and you want to get behind it. Every time I bring up Linsanity, because it was, 2 weeks of awesome, every time I bring it up, I have to tell everybody, yo, it was real. We were there. It was real. I know you've seen the highlights, but it was real,
Madison
man.
Square
It was
Garden
awesome.
was electric.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And, all the people we're going to name on this list of feel-good stories, the common denominator, which I like, is the magic may eventually run out. But what happens is these guys embrace their moments so much that they all sort of went on to have careers, whether it be off the bench or a backup. They embrace the moment so much so that it's like, yo, you found your place in the league, my man. You might not be a starter, but you're in. Like Jeremy Lin.
He was lighting up Kobe. Rest in peace.
He won a championship.
He did?
With the Raptors.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't play much. He
still won.
He's a champion.
Look, he had a decent career, and it's lightning in a bottle. Against that little mix of underdog with lightning in a bottle. Situations need to be perfect.
Yeah.
Certain things had to happen for these moments to even occur. And another one of those, Minshew, comes to mind because, again, comes out just like a spark plug.
Yeah.
And it's more about his personality, too, and his demeanor and his mustache and his stupid headbands, right? You're like, all right, that's the guy I could rally around and get behind. He was a feel-good story for sure.
And
still is.
Last year, Heineke. I mean, the guy's playing still in the NFL. Here's a guy that had no business. I love it when these guys have, quote, no business being in the league, and then they get a chance.
And they light it up.
I know we weren't planning on talking about him, but how do you leave out my dude Brock Purdy?
Can't leave him out. I
He's
mean,
still a feel-good story.
Dude, you kidding me? Mr. Irrelevant to where he is now, and then he seems to be back. He's definitely one of the guys that come to mind. Now, I know you're big on Austin Reeves as being that guy because he's unassuming too. That's part of it. When you see an unassuming dude, even in fighting, you're like, that guy, and he wins like an Andy Ruiz or something like that.
Anyone that was in the G League that gets the nod to come up
Exactly.
and then lights it up where other teams in the offseason are like, no, we want him now.
And he's got game for sure. And I think because you think of Lakers, I think Caruso had a little bit of that hype too.
Yeah, man.
Not a lot in common, but as far as their play, but I think a feel-good story because no one expected it.
Sometimes that feel-good story also revolves around coming back from something tragic or something rough. Like Alex Smith after that horrific leg injury. Dude almost lost his leg, almost died. He ends up playing in the NFL again, which is like
inspiring.
You couldn't even believe it. And
these stories inspire and they give you hope. And Alex Smith is a definite example of that.
You saw him on the field 3 days ago on Monday Night Football. Damar Hamlin, not getting a lot of reps, but back in the game after dying on the field and being brought back to life. So these are great stories to rally around. The feel-good stories.
Every year there's one or two, and Dobbs is the guy now. But another sentiment that we share where everyone's like, yo, that's a feel-good story is when that hometown kid gets called up. He's the hometown kid, though. Yeah. And I think that's why we were rallying or hoping that Tommy DeVito.
Well, you have to remind yourself.
Local kid.
You have to remind yourself. 9 out of 10 times these feel-good stories don't work out, a la Tommy DeVito.
I mean, we'll see what happens.
Do you see his dad? They were lip reading him in the stands. His dad's like, "Why are you calling that play?" Like even his dad's like, "What are you doing?" Hey, gabagool.
So it is always a nice moment, though, when you see the hometown kid do his thing. So, hey, feel good stories. What else comes to mind? Let us know.
Yeah, man.
Covino and Rich, hashtag Overpromised.
All right, we'll see you back here on Friday for another bonus pod. Thank you to DraftKings. Thank you to everyone watching and listening. Covino and Rich, we appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Arrivederci, baby.
See you in the Overpromised land.